and it should be live.
Well, I
So
can check phone to see anything.
what's that?
I can check on my phone to see if.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It says we're live. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, cool.
Oh, sheesh. The only problem is it doesn't. You know, that's too bad. It doesn't show the rest of, or does it? Oh, I gotta just check here. Hold on.
You need information for where to deliver.
Small and the medium.
I didn't see with this one. You indicated the sizes. This doesn't have sizes, so I wasn't sure if the small is the same as this. You know, it's a different. I can show you. I mean,
Let me see what it does here.
let me just go back on this
Oh,
screen.
that's so good. Oh, that's.
You see, if you select
cool.
this.
Oh, sorry, I got double whammy going here. There we go. I gotta figure. Hold on, I gotta get. Hey, hold on. Can you?
Yeah, of you can see there's not.
I gotta. Shit.
But if you, what am I?
Yeah, I didn't put the sizes on this.
Yeah, so this has got sizes. So I like my clothes quite. This will be more tight on my body, kind of thing.
Beautiful.
I wear small, simple things like this.
And yes,
So
Ross,
James,
I'm gonna
I
buy
bought
soon.
the medium size. Too small.
So
Yeah, but I didn't choose small for that one. It had no size, so.
Okay.
Yeah, in the cart though, it's small, I think.
And I can't find my cart.
How's Gordon doing?
Gordon's laughing, and we're live. You guys are talking on live air.
Hey.
And be careful what you say,
That's so cool.
because it
That
comes
one
up.
have the. Okay, let me just select another black and small.
Oh, it looks great. It looks exactly what we're looking for. It doesn't show the chat, which is really unfortunate. And there's a delay. So, of course, what we're seeing now, we won't see for a few moments live. Oh, yes, it's working. Thank you. That's exactly what I wanted tested. That's right. So it is working. I can, from my side, I've got it closed at the moment, so I can't, I got it put down at the bottom so I can't see it. But yeah, now, of course, that's what I wanted to ask, if we can do a live chat, so we got it working. Yesterday, I got a phone call during the visit. You may have watched at 4747, Hot Chick 99 called in. So it's on the live. It was funny. It was really funny. And I kept saying, listen, I'm in the live stream. Maybe you could call back later, stuff like this. But I kind of laughed at that. Yeah. It's unfortunate because in the Zoom, does it not show our names in the Zooms? It doesn't, which is really too bad, because then it would be really cool. I don't think people obviously not watching this, or people not watching this will not know anything about it. That's a fact. People watching this, on the other hand, would like to know, it would be interesting to them to know that each of us are in different time zones. Okay? So, of course, yeah, go ahead. Yes, that's... Yeah, yeah, we can find, that's a good idea though. I like the idea because what we can do it. We can figure out what we want to do. We can each do our own different thing, but it would be good if we had our names. So, like for example, I'm in Western Canada. Ross, you're in. Where are you? Like I'm near Edmonton. Where are you? Hey, now it's your turn to talk. Tokyo. Okay, you're in Tokyo. James, where are you? Are you in Northwest or are you in Johannesburg? Or okay, so yeah. So I mean, it's kind of you guys think about it. We cover the whole world, right? We got the 3 time zones, so we really are a fairly good world telescope. Oh well, no, I put this down as not for children. Yeah, we can. I try not to. I try not to swear, but of course you will see that I have many times. So, you know, especially when I start mumbling. When I start mumbling, go. Yeah, that's true. Well, it is my first language, right? English is my second language. So, you know, but this is working, guys. This is working. So here we are. Really? You can't hear you. That's okay. So that is weird. That is weird. Okay, hold on. Where's my thing? Come on. Why is that? Okay, I'm going to do something here. Yeah, that's weird. So let me just, let's get onto this.
I'm actually even trying to find the YouTube link myself. Okay, I found our YouTube because I did subscribe. Let me see our live.
I'll leave my YouTube open just in case our voices start to come through, so we can check.
Let me just see.
Yeah, it shows that we are live. I'm actually even trying to find the YouTube link myself. Okay, I found our YouTube. Oh, because I did subscribe. Let me see our live.
I'll check that forward. We can just in case we can hear our voices now.
Hey,
Yeah, it shows that we are live.
Sorry, guys, I can hear you guys fine on mine.
Right.
Yeah, so it seems to be working now. Yeah.
Okay,
So
good.
for a minute, both so mine and James's voice were not going through, only Gordon's. And I opened YouTube, checked it out, and that was the case. But now it seems to be working.
Yeah.
So whatever you did just now worked.
Yeah, it is working. It is working now. I got to turn this off. Drives me crazy. Okay. So we are
Seems to be
live.
working now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay,
So
good.
for a minute.
Now let's check again because now I can hear you guys. Can you still hear your voices? Yeah. Okay, so I've turned the sound off. Yeah, the reason is I've gone to a YouTube, I've gone to a Bluetooth on my ear, and I'm wondering if that affected the volume or the sound. Because I have Bluetooth, I've just gone back to Bluetooth, so I got to see if I can hear you guys again. Hold on here. I'm just going to turn the sound on here. Just going to turn it live. Okay, so I've turned the sound off. Oh, that's exact. I've gone to a YouTube. That is exactly what's happening. Let me turn the Bluetooth off. Turn it. Or the sound. Okay, never mind. I think that's the answer. I went on to Bluetooth. I've just gone back to Bluetooth. There we go. Okay, we live and learn.
Yep.
Right. Oh, that's exactly. So I've gone to a YouTube. I've turned Bluetooth off. Turn it off.
Someone's got an echo. Do we know who? The echo.
Okay, never mind.
That was me.
I think that's not a Bluetooth.
That was me. Okay. So, I think the problem is solved. When I go onto my Bluetooth, it actually makes all of the voices go into my ear rather than onto the screen. It doesn't capture the sound. Why are you guys frozen?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, now your images are
makes sense, yeah.
frozen. Your images are frozen, but I
You
can.
were the bug.
Yeah, I was the bug. Yes. Okay, but at least wise, we know this thing can work, and we can see everything. We can see our scan. We can see our logo. It should be turning. Why isn't it turn? Oh, because I got it turned off. Good.
Hey, James, how do you make virtual backgrounds in Zoom? Do you know?
You go to settings. I can share screen and show. Well, you have to have the picture that you want to use as your virtual background.
Yeah, you
So
create
you go
your
to
picture,
Zoom.
Ross.
Yeah, I was just making mine now.
Yeah, so I'm trying to make mine, but I have to show you this first. Then you have these options which you find. Look for background and effects. Here you
James,
just you choose
some
to
reason
add.
Oh, it's there.
we can only see your YouTube window open. Can't see the Zoom.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why. But
Just
maybe I
1
did
second.
the Desktop or something.
We look like the Three Stooges.
We are.
Yeah.
Where's background? Oh, it's in videos. Okay. Use virtual background. And
Let me just do this then. I can play the sound myself in the other if I YouTube to it. Bluetooth it. Okay. Oops.
do.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to take a phone call, guys. Ross, can you see my on my screen now?
No, I figured out how to do it though, so don't worry.
Oh, okay.
All good. Yeah, cheers.
Okay, if you. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Did you say you need to take a call or you?
I have. I muted to just take a call quickly.
Already done. What is this now?
Yeah. I hope the GERAF logo here is actually full resolution.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks like. So I'm going to just, no.
And that's actually a great idea. If we want to, I mean, if we make some nice cool products and stuff like that, we want to showcase them, and we can do it in the stream itself. You literally just did that by accident.
Yeah.
Yeah, and James was showing us as well his recent purchases.
Precisely.
Or soon to be purchases. Okay, I think I've made my background now, which looks really cool.
I'll try out mine now.
Okay.
Thanks.
Mine is not so cool. It's just my name with my time zone.
Cool.
You guys ready for the most coolest Zoom background? There we go.
You missed
it. Is it the wrong way around as well? Is it like left to right?
No, it's left to right.
Inverted.
No, it looks okay.
Okay, that's not good.
Yeah, let's see if this thing works. Hold on.
I can fix the. I can fix that thing. Hold on.
Perfect. Oh, this is really good.
Yeah.
Good.
I think in future also we want to.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
then
Yeah.
Gives people a chance to join and stuff.
What we should do is we should have a regular session where we do this, I think, if we can.
All right, guys.
So what we should have is we should have a time slot where we say that basically we're going to do that, even if it's just two of us or one of us. What happened? Uh-oh, I lost my internet something. I lost the Zoom. Oh, there, I'm back. Okay, I'm back. Something happened there. Can we start? Someone say something so I can hear if you're still there.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Oh, yeah.
So
I
we
can still hear
should.
you fine.
What I was going to suggest is that we do this on a regular basis. We could do it monthly, or we could do it weekly, or we could do it whatever. We could choose. And what I can do is, of course, we could start having a regular time. So I could start doing this from 7 to 8 my time, or something like that, depending on my ability to do that. Because if I have some work to do, of course, I won't be able to do it at all. But yeah, we should announce it. But we should have a regular time. So. And we can each do it, right? So we can each do it. We'd have to create our own weird. How the hell would I do that? I'd have to find a way to let you guys get into the account. But I mean, this is ours. I mean, this is my email, like GERA Foundation account. But we could set this up. And for those who are going to watch this, because I don't think anybody's live except for possibly one or two of our friends. We are a nonprofit organization who tries to help struggling nascent observatories, much like the observatory in the background. That observatory in the background of Ross is not nascent. It's been there for a while. But yeah, so I think, all I'm trying to say, guys, is that we can do, James did a good job, but we can do, we could probably do this on a regular basis, and with it we can obviously sell the merch that we have. We can advertise, all sorts of things like that. We can do longer term. All that money, of course, goes back into the nonprofit, which helps our projects.
And I think the main project that we wanted to talk about today was the Nigeria.
Yes,
telescope.
That's right. In fact, I just want. Good. I just turned off the other. It was probably competing with two computers. Yeah. Okay. So all I'm trying to say is this is the beginnings of our Cool Works engineering. We want the idea would be to start, to not only do we help fundraise, we also help install and commission telescopes, and these small ones especially. And today we're going to talk about the work that James has done in Nigeria. So.
Yeah.
I leave it to James and Ross. You guys go ahead. Ross, go ahead. James, go ahead. Dave, go ahead. Who's Dave? I'm tired.
James, you wanna go?
Yeah, well, I don't know where you guys would prefer that we start, but I could start by sharing maybe the MOU to just show how things started. Is that okay with everyone?
I think so.
Yeah. And I think it's worth mentioning as well that when we started doing these kind of projects that involve money, we wanted some kind of demonstrator to show that we were legit and that we have certain goals and motivations, and that those goals and motivations are not stupid, and that other people want to get on board. And probably, I don't know if anyone's actually watching or whatever, but I think one thing I would mention is that we're all astronomers. So although we're doing this MPO, I think it's the most important thing to point out is we're astronomers. We're radio astronomers. And the thing that kind of motivated us to do this was seeing a lot of these observatories that we know and love kind of going under in terms of funding. On top of that, then there's also a lot of people who don't have access to any telescope at all. So we wanted to kind of get money from outside of the typical sources of cash in academia, which would be grants and such, and take more of a kind of rogue astronomy approach, where we build something of our own, or we would support telescopes that are already existing by getting some money from outside. Anyway, so the idea of this telescope was, it's a 3.7 meter. It's not huge, but that's pretty useful. You can do stuff with it for astronomy. But we kind of just wanted to get our hands dirty and do something. And it needed to be useful. It needed to be a project that we could do as a first project, but it needed to kind of show what trajectory we're on and the kind of, it needed to be coherent with the long-term goals that we have. And I think we did a pretty good job of that. I think maybe, James, if you could explain, it probably would be good to explain about the dish itself and where you got it from and how you found the company and stuff like that.
Yeah, cool. So I'd like to start from the fundamental thing, which is if you want to start up any project, you have to think about sustainability. Of course, Gordon and Ross has mentioned the real motive behind setting up the MPO that we currently have, which is called GERA Foundation. So you don't want to engage in a project that you would start, it's successful for 1 year, and then the remaining part of the years, it just becomes a white elephant. So in the case of the demonstration project that we engaged in, which is to build a small 3.7 meter radio telescope in Nigeria, we had to look for a partner. And in this case, we chose one of the activity centers of the National Space Research and Development Agency of Nigeria, which is called the Center for Basic Space Sciences. And we went into lots of meetings and discussions with them and developed some kind of memorandum of understanding, which you can see on the screen. The idea of this memorandum of understanding is to delineate what the commitment of the three of us as GERA Foundation and the CBSS would be. So our job would be to help raise funds, set up the observatory, train people, provide a bit of manpower. But of course, running a radio observatory costs money. The reason why many of the observatories we are trying to rescue or provide some external support to are dying is because the money is dwindling. The government are cutting funding. So if we also build a telescope and we don't secure how that will be sustained and run, then we also run the same risk of what we're trying to salvage. So the agreement is exactly what you're seeing on the screen. We want CBSS to commit some money into the project, and GERAF will help raise the remaining funds. And then GERAF will have oversight. CBSS will eventually continue to run and manage the instrument. So I'll leave the details of the MOU if you'd like to see the details. If you would like our support in helping you draft similar MOUs or agreements, please do get in touch with us. So after agreeing to build this instrument and agreeing the terms and conditions, how it will be managed, what the roles of GERAF and the roles of CBSS are, we swung into action to raise funds. So we started off with going to GoFundMe, which is what everybody will know quite well, which is a popular crowdfunding platform. We set out what we want to do, how that would be beneficial. Of course, started communicating with friends and people who love what we do to solicit for their support. We did manage to raise some funds from people in the public, including those we didn't know a priori. However, a large chunk of the fund was raised from University of Toronto and Northwest University. We got into writing proposal for grant. We received a grant of about 10,000 Canadian dollars. That are, well, through the Northwest University also provided some good support. We got significant funding from a friend and colleague, Dr. Anita Richards, and many other people that I may not remember all the names specifically who contributed to this project. So the next phase, of course, while we're raising funds, we are also making contact with the supplier for the telescope. There are multiple options. You can find people who build dishes in China, in Europe, in the UK, and so on. But we chose specifically Puam Electronics. You can look them up on the web if you like to see, because they already have a mold for 3-meter class telescope, which is what we consider affordable. The reason we chose 3 meters is, of course, cost. You're looking at a telescope that you can have the fully steerable dish, have a front-end receiver system at L-band and a back-end receiver system at the same frequency, and have it fully integrated and just shipped. So you can call it a plug and play and use it for teaching and research. So the cost was approximately, I think, around £38,000. And we got in touch, agreed on the quotation for making the dish with Puam Electronics. It took them a couple of months to complete it. And then we arranged for shipping. It got shipped to Nigeria. And in August of last year, I traveled to Nigeria to do the installation. I'm sure you would
do you
all...
have any pictures of the I remember you sent the pictures of the crates with the telescope parts there, which looked really cool. You still got those?
Sorry, guys. Before you go to the pictures, sorry, Ross. It's important to note that, and I think this is the key to the story. We mentioned these people. I mean, there was Todd and Crystal also. I just want to mention extra names, but really, we should talk about all the people involved, because the most important aspect for this to be successful is to have a team of people on the ground in Nigeria that have some basic understanding of what's going on, and we had some very good people there. So Bonaventure, and you can name the names, but also the guys in Dunlap Observatory. There was a couple of very instrumental people. Margaret and Ida were very instrumental in helping us to get the funding. And of course, because they're Nigerian, it really gave them some boost to go do that. And it's really important that we give them that credit also. Go ahead, Ross.
I thought to try to give more credits towards the end and maybe project the names.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean
but that's definitely good. Maybe I have to mention the observatory that Ross has in his background. This where Bonaventure was trained. He used the Nobeyama. Actually, this is the Nobeyama millimeter array, but there is a 45-meter radio telescope just sitting next to those telescopes you see in his background. That's what Bonaventure was trained with, and I'm happy that Gordon has acknowledged him.
Hey James, I actually want to maybe mention that briefly. It's like a lot of people trained on that Nobeyama 45-meter telescope, including myself, and I think you too to some extent.
And myself too, yeah.
And I think that this is one of the motivations for doing GERAF, is that I don't want to see that thing go under. And if the hardware is fine, the infrastructure is fine, there's good people who could work there. The only issue is money. And if there was a bit more financial backing for it, we could stop it from going under. And if that were the case, then people like you, me, and Bonaventure, who trained on that telescope, can, when the next generation of students come, they'll have something to train on too. That's what I don't want to lose, is that training facility. Anyway, sorry, carry on. I interrupted there.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you, Ross. If you run and manage an observatory, this is really difficult. I'm sure that the people who manage that observatory people like Tatima Tusang are very emotional about that observatory. They wouldn't want it to go down. But
absolutely.
Sure.
but come to think of it, this involves a lot of money to run. If you have to change a single bearing on any of the gears on Nebeyama dish, it will cost you something close to $500,000 or more.
Yeah.
What does that actually entail? Like, do you have to like lift the entire dish up, or like what?
You have to take the entire thing apart.
No, well, hold on. They did this at Hart Trail. They actually replaced one of the bearings at Hart Trail. They literally had to, it literally came down to lifting the dish 1 inch. So you have to build structure underneath it, and then you have to jack it up 1 inch, so you can pull the damn thing out, right? And depending on the bearing and depending on the telescope. So those telescopes in the background are alt azimuth. They're more problematic because, and again, I was working on a telescope where they want to cut funding. So we are all talking about the exact same story. These facilities were once cutting edge science facilities. And now because science has moved on and we're now doing what I always call it, what is like they do the whatever it is, they move on to the next sexy science that requires certain types of telescopes. The single dishes are being left behind. They're being said that they don't do really good cutting edge science. That is simply a limitation of a person's mind. Really. It's the observers that limit the ability of the science coming out of these things. Really. And we're proving that with things like the M2O. To be honest, we're redefining what is valuable, and this telescope will be the same. So your telescope, depending on its design in that, James is right. We may have to take the damn thing entirely apart, or more importantly, we just simply have to lift all of the weight up. So we would put it to zenith, we would build a substructure, and then we would jack it up, and that's how you would do that. Okay, and they did it at Hart Trail.
Yeah, Gordon, in the case of the Nobeyama 45-meter radio telescope, you will struggle to build a substructure below it because
I understand. Yeah.
the control room is built just next to it.
So it's in the way.
Need to put the substructure for backing, there is something in the way. You will need to. Well, I'm not sure. Maybe Mitsubishi could find a way to put things more distant and put some cables and lift this, but. Yeah, it's not as simple as just lifting for something.
Look, I'm quite happy to acquiesce. I agree with you. I'm just saying that at Hart Trail, that's what they did, okay? And they have a building just below it as well. But the point is, it's smaller. It's much smaller. It's only 26 meters. This is a 45 meter we're referring to. So
lift it with an airship.
Lift it with an airship. Yes, that's true. They have 100. The max lift will be 100 tons. So but you don't need an airship. You don't need an airship. You could use balloons. Just because you're not moving it, right? You can use balloons.
But make sure someone's holding the rope at the bottom of it, because if that thing just starts flying,
just be careful. If you lift it with a balloon and it moves more than you want it to move due to changing wind current.
And this is exactly right.
Big net.
Yeah, look, that's exactly correct. Like, I had a guy tell me, well, we can use a balloon in a tank to move a telescope. And I'm like, well, first off, it doesn't look cool. So that was out. And secondly, I didn't trust that it would work, because it just sounded a little bit thrown together. And when you do this kind of stuff, you don't want to throw the shit together. You get really good engineers, you sit them down, and you say, look, this is our problem. Here's the structure. What do we do? But Ross and James, you guys are spot on. You can come up with all sorts of crazy ideas, but then eventually, rational heads will sit down and discuss each one of them and find the weaknesses and say, look, we can fix this idea or not, move on to another idea entirely. So I don't know what you could do with this. My guess is you probably have to, as James pointed out, you probably have to remove the entire dish and then fix the bearing. That's like building a new telescope. The only difference is you don't have to buy the new materials. It's all there. So your cost to do that is substantially decreased because what's the most important part of your telescope? It's the surface, right? And the receivers.
But that's the cheapest part.
That unfortunately, but it's time consuming to build it's time consuming to do it. So it's easier for me to get back structure. I can get that from any steel company, right? It's a lot harder for me to get the smoothly surfaced and shaped dishes, panels.
Parabolic.
Yes, that's right. So you've got all the pieces. It's just a question of, whatever. So I'm not saying we do it. I hope the bearing doesn't fail. The real answer with Nobiyama is we got to find usage for it. So really, as astronomers, our first line of defense against Nobiyama turning off is we have to find uses for it that do cutting edge science again. And we got to make the science it does sexy. Sometimes if you put a dress on a pig, it's still a pig. Like it's got four legs, it oinks. It's not, you could put lipstick on it, ain't going to do any difference, right? Unless you're some weird animal. Let's stop talking that. I'm going down a line that I don't want to go into. But I mean, I know we're off topic from the 3.7. It's just that this is interesting stuff to talk about. It really is. But go on, Ross. Sorry.
Yeah. The issue with Nobiyama, with doing the sexy science, is that it costs money to use it now. So for 1 hour, it's 10,000 yen, which I think right now is, what's that, like $70 or something? It's 150 yen, 155 yen.
It's about 800 rand from today's price.
So it's for, there's not a huge amount of money by any stretch, but if you were to do, say, for example, monitoring, where you're doing a few hours of observing every few days a week for months, then it's very quickly going to add up. I mean, you could do a 10-hour project without it really hurting you, but using up the science time on Nobiyama, buying it up to support the station, obviously is great, but it's you just need money. I mean, I think one thing that we could do, or maybe we should do, is finance a science project, an astronomy project on Nobiyama, where we use the money that we raise to buy time.
Okay. What we also could do, Ross, is we could find an interesting project and we could sell the project to someone. In other words, and I don't mean sell as in get money from it. That's not what I'm trying to say here. But we could literally go and find interested researchers saying, hey, that's a cool project, that's worth doing, and then they can go get grant money, and then we could do it like that. So, and get it paid for, because people can get grants, and if you've got a science project that can lead to a PhD, I mean, it's just the cost of the PhD basically, right? So if we could find the right science projects, we could find the right researchers. Our job as the astronomers of this project would be to find researchers with students, and they get grant money to pay for that. So if we could find some philanthropic society that says, hey, we like the idea of helping, young students in STEM, and we will pay for the observing time, that would be wonderful too. So that would be the secondary way of doing it. I think we're a little off topic here, guys. Ross, James, I know you're not finished, and I know this is an interesting topic, but we should finish off with the 3.7, the Nigerian telescope. Sorry. But it is a cool discussion.
No, cool. Well, I still have to mention one thing about Nobiyama that we shouldn't forget. As far as radio astronomy goes and radio telescopes, even single-dish telescopes around the globe goes, Nobiyama is the most experimental large size 45 meters radio telescope in the world. By most experimental, I mean there are tons of people who are developing new receivers. It's built in such a way that you can just bring in any of your user-defined receiver system and you plug and play. That is the uniqueness of Nobiyama.
Really
Other
cool.
instruments, probably the PAX telescope, you could do that, but you need some extra modification. But with Nobiyama, it has a huge spacious cabin that you can walk around. I used to tell people that you can literally play a soccer game inside the cabin of Nobiyama if you took out all the equipment installed in it. So that should not be let to die.
I won't tell you what you could do in the heart rail receiver cabin, but never mind.
Like taking away Manchester United's Old Trafford Stadium where they train or whatever it is. For those who love
I'll
soccer.
keep that to a private conversation. But Ross, that is James, that is really cool. I mean, I didn't realize that about Nobiama. I honestly didn't. That it's actually designed for plug and play.
It's huge.
That's brilliant.
Like the building,
huge,
the building under it. So it's got like 4 floors with an elevator, and there's a toilet in the elevator.
Does it
in case the
have
elevator
a
breaks, so
does it have what kind of feed system does it have? Does it have, what do they call it? The one where they can beam it down into the basement or something like that? Is that what it is? What's it called?
So there's the waveguide. It doesn't really bounce around much the same way that you get with these telecom dishes. I think it comes kind of more straight down. But then there's a system of mirrors, so it's like you split it off either left or right.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
And then it splits off again.
Yeah,
I think they have room for. Is it like this is 2, and then there's 2 there and 2 there. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4.
And
4 places you can drop a.
And does it have a carousel at the bottom where you can rotate it so that it comes into the point where the mirror actually focuses, or is it the other way around? Yeah, it's a waveguide telescope.
You have the receivers. Yeah. The receivers are dotted around the room.
Yeah.
And then there's a.
It's the waveguide.
A waveguide coming down, which then splits off and mirrors determine which way the light goes.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
And it drops into one of the. I think there's like about 8 receivers there now.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So that is, most of the telecoms dishes, like Ghana and that, are waveguide telescopes. I think Ghana's a waveguide. I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, they've been waveguide, yes.
The 3 dishes at the post office site opposite Hartreo are waveguides as well. All the telecoms dishes tend to be waveguide. It's easier for engineers to work. They don't have to go up onto the telescope, right?
Yeah.
They just
also, you avoid the big
yes,
elevation gear.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And then on top of which, you can have a primary mirror. You have a primary, and you don't have to have the cone sitting on the dish, which means you lose a bit of surface. So yeah, but yeah, that's a cool design. And again, as I said, you guys, this is something we should have discussions on, because I think other people would be interested in hearing about this kind of thing. So what we should do is do one of these on Nobiama, or do one on Hartreo, and we should pick a telescope, and we could do something on it. We give a brief presentation on it, and then we can all sit and talk as we're doing now, which is great.
Good. I could actually do it from Nobiama. Like, I could be inside the dish, and we could live stream. Anyway, I think we're
and you could bring in guests. You could bring in guests as well. That's the key, right? We don't have to limit this to just the 3 of us. We can have guests, right? Experts.
Yeah.
You know? So, I mean, for Hartreo, we could try to get George Nicholson to come in and talk about when it was first done. I mean, this is a guy that he became an astronomer by accident. He wanted to be one, but it was an accident that he got to be one. He's the original director of Hartreo, just so you know. He worked at it when it was being built, even with NASA. Okay, so but Nobiama, let's do this. Let's do that. Let's try to do a live presentation from Nobiama. I'll
let you know when I'm going there next. I go there frequently, so I'll let you know when I've got my schedule.
Okay, and then we can set up. And then having students there is even better. James, let's go back to the 3.7 though, guys. Let's carry on with the Nigerian story. Let's carry on with what we're doing in Nigeria.
Okay, cool. So, Ross, I've just been trying to dig out the photos from the manufacturers of the dish. I think it's somewhere hiding in my email, so I'll probably just leave that out for now. But I'll show you guys a few more things. I guess we have to also keep the live stream short so that people can view it later, I guess.
No, you don't. But we should.
45 minutes in.
Yeah. Okay, so let me share my full screen. so that we can get on with this again. Stop sharing and then share again. This time, share the entire screen. Can you see everything now?
Not yet. Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. So what you see here is just a few collections. There are tons of them of videos and photos. Some are very, very significant. That represents the effort that went into installing the telescope. Of course, when you hear 3.5 or 3.7 meter telescope, your first thought will be, but that's very small. No, it's not. That's a huge telescope. Of course, not as big as 45-meter telescope. But here, the first thing you do when you want to build a telescope is to identify a site. In our case, because it's a small telescope, we didn't want to go through the intricacies of siting it in a remote place with low RFI, because primarily we want to provide access to hands-on radio astronomy to students. So we needed it closer to where students can easily get access to it. And Center for Basic Space Sciences is located just a few kilometers from University of Nigeria, which is essentially the center of astronomy in the country. So it means students can access it, and the price we pay is that it will be closer to the city, but not in a densely populated area. You probably will pick that up from some of the videos. So we chose to install it at the Center for Basic Space Sciences. The first video I will play is the video of the concrete platform. It's a small dish, so you can install it on top of a roof. And this is just a video showing the concrete platform being made. We had to find the pillars holding the building and then mesh around metal or steel.
That's
steel reinforcement.
It's called rebar. It's called rebar.
Okay, cool. I don't do construction. Thanks, Gordon, for bringing that in.
I've poured enough
so
concrete.
That's how it's done, and then you put in normal concrete and mortar into it.
Yeah.
This is just a line showing where we could pass the cable and get it back down into the control room. So what you see in the video playing now is the time when the concrete base was built. Then
is that a power cable or a data cable?
You have to separate power cable and data cable. The cable you see on top at the moment is actually a Ethernet cable, so it has nothing to do with the telescope at the moment. Okay. What we did with the concrete platform is that we put in a pipe, okay, before the concrete was poured on it, so that you create a hole through which we pass the power cable.
Yeah.
And then the RF cable, because if you ever cross your RF cable with a power cable, you get this 50 hertz leakage of signal from the power line into your radio frequency. So we had to separate that and put them in a separate what do you call it?
Conduit.
Some kind of, conduit. Yes. So so that's the first movie you saw. Of course, this was shipped. We needed crane. You will see a crane to bring it up. The first thing is the surface. Of course, there are a couple of engineers at the Center for Basic Space Sciences who had to put together the back structure of the dish, install the panels, and you can see me right there trying to tighten up the central part.
You didn't even have a power tool.
No, this is a DIY. So I could trust myself to use my energy to tighten these nicely.
Yeah.
So after they've done all the tightening, I allowed the engineers at the Center for Basic Space Sciences to do some tightening or setting up of the panels, but I had to go around one by one to just reconfirm for myself before I get it up. Because when you put it up, you should stay there for years. So you don't want to risk blaming someone of not tightening a knot or a bolt correctly. So I had to go around. With the main feed, because you have to align these properly, otherwise your sensitivity will be bad. I used the reflector. You may see something in my hand here. I had to use a laser pointer, point it anywhere in the dish, and make sure that I get the reflection on the surface of the dish.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
so I played around with a few things to just make sure things are aligned. Of course, it wouldn't be 100%, but if it's not aligned, you move it a bit again to just get a proper alignment.
You could have used a
that's
torque
the
wrench,
second
by
video.
the way, but just another story.
Sorry?
You could have used a torque wrench because to make sure it's perfectly tight, but I agree with your comment about tightening it. But a torque wrench really helps because it goes to the point where it actually knows it can be no tighter.
Yeah, it just locks. It clicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
But that's okay. You just go. You do you.
With the tool, I thought I would have it. Yeah.
It's cool.
But it survived and worked without losing knots for a while.
Hey, sorry,
Also because I've done
James.
it
This
before.
is James. Let me ask a question here. This is the rainy season, or it's not the rainy season yet in Nigeria. So it's
This
not
was in August.
Yeah.
So August is towards the end of the rainy season.
And
We probably were fortunate
Yeah.
to have. There is a period you call August break. So it rains from sometime in May, June, or April, May
Yeah.
into August. And then there is typically this 1 week that you almost get no rain, but it will be quite cloudy, as you can see. There is a lot of cloud.
What I was going to
So
add.
it wasn't.
Sorry, I was going to add on. I don't mean to cut you off. When is it windiest? Is what I'm asking. What I was going to ask based on all this.
December is sometime closer to December is the windiest period.
Okay, so we've been through a windy season already. So go on. Sorry. So we know the thing is.
So the dish.
Yeah.
I didn't show the dish spec, but this is a fairly durable dish with surface accuracy that can go up to 22 gigahertz. So it's small, but can do quite a lot, and has very large wind tolerance. I don't remember the numbers, but I can dig that out.
Yeah, I can tell by the base you fit your foundations.
I think we should probably mention as well that so Palm Electronics, they make astronomy grade dishes, right? And they also make I think they do 15 meter or so. Like they do pretty big ones as well.
12.
Right? 12
They do 12 meter class, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, so we probably should ask them to pay us to market them since we now got a platform to do that. Okay, so this part is easy because the panels came in a crate that we could assemble a set of young men and then lift it up to the roof and then assemble in the roof. That part is not something you can easily do. So we needed a crane to get this one up the roof.
Yeah.
And here is, okay, I try to put out the volume so it doesn't disturb the other voices. So the crane is sitting on ground floor. We are in the roof of the first floor. Well, first and ground floor probably clarifies it because I know first floor is ground floor for the Japanese. But yeah, so we use this crane to get this up the roof. We need to nicely align it to fit into the nuts that come out of the platform in order to install this. And that was quite a task.
How much does that weigh, James? James, how much does that plinth weigh?
It's about 350 kilograms.
Okay.
So yeah, fairly close to 0.35 ton.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So
hold on. Before you go by, the picture right beside it, you can see the two bolts sticking up out of where the concrete would be poured. That's what they're trying to fit it onto. Those 4 bolts. So that's your bolts that are in the concrete. So, the whole point of that is to make sure the damn thing is so firm it doesn't go, and we bolt it on. But now go on, James. Go ahead.
Cool. So this is just a video showing how we got that fitted into this 4.
Yeah.
You have to properly align it. Remember, you're working with a heavy instrument.
Yeah.
You also need to be careful with safety. Never mind not having helmets.
You might have all your fingers.
And no hand.
No helmet.
Or
James,
hand gloves.
Is that a counterweight on the left from the video you just showed?
Yes. Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, this is the elevation gear.
Oh, it's the
Okay.
gear.
So
But
there's no counterweight then?
doesn't it act
It's
like
no
a counter?
counterweight. The
Doesn't it
gears,
act like a counterweight, James?
no, it doesn't have any weight.
No counterweight at
So
all.
the panels are very light. The gears are strong enough to hold the weight of the dish, of the primary dish. Cool. And so that is this, and you install this. Of course, you bolt it nicely. The next thing is to now put together your main dish, lift it with the same crane again, and then install it at the top right here. Of course, you want to protect your front end receiver, which is the L-band receiver system that you have. This will have nicely covered with the white plastics you see here. Okay, then I'll play this video. So this is a bit tricky. If you pull this the wrong way, you could damage the panels of the dish. You could deform the dish, and that would be terrible because you deform the dish, you can no longer go high frequency. Keep in mind, I've said we now have L-band feed on this, but we can just tip the antenna, take out the front end, and put a C-band end, and we'll go to C-band observation. You can do the same and put in K-band feed, and you can start observing, for example, water mazers if you do want to look at water mazers. So this is really a cool dish. I love it. Remember, I've done a proof of concept of this with the Northwest University 4-element interferometer. Exactly the same design, the same shape, same kind of dish, same manufacturer, and 4 of them are installed here in South Africa, where they've been used for students training and for some level of research. So this is also lifting it, making sure we provide support, moving it slowly. You can see me in the background. Sorry, this is turned the other way. Okay, good, nicely it's rotated. So my job is not to just to make sure that there is no deformation, because it's the tricky part. And then you lift it, get it on top, align it nicely with the holes, tell the person controlling the crane, it's about 56 or 60 meters away from you. It's downstairs. They have to just listen to you say, move up, move left, move right. And literally control things that way.
Yeah.
And then you get in on top of the dish, and then you bolt things in. I haven't put out any video of the dish moving. I can show that some other time, but I'm sure you would like to see whether we really got signal on our system. Yes, this is me in the back end. That's the control screen showing this is actually the true first light of this radio telescope. So we're able to detect clear continuum, but there is also some spike you would see in this description I was showing to the director of the center, that is specifically where we're picking up H1 emission at 1.42 gigahertz. And that is a hydrogen line coming from our galaxy, most likely from the direction of the center of the Milky Way. So yeah, tested the dish, it worked well. Handed it over to the, of course, I've described this in just a few minutes, but this took days to be completed. Of course, getting the concrete platform done, you need to leave it for a while to dry. Yeah. So we started prepping those steps well ahead of time. And then, we have a telescope that is functional. It's already been used by students. In fact, a PhD student has already made a presentation in a conference about some of the results from this telescope. And what is more is that it's doing more than we thought, because now we've already used this telescope to do radio astronomy workshop for students in Ghana. I actually conducted that workshop. And we could remotely, you can see the computer I'm sitting in front of, we could remotely log in into this computer and drive the telescope from Ghana. So we could do real observation remotely, which is quite cool. And we're designing large-scale research projects like mapping the entire Milky Way galaxy in H1. Just reproducing, we know there are H1 maps that exist at higher resolution, but we can do it at lower resolution with less sensitivity as a proof of concept. And
James, do you mind if I cut in a second? I was just thinking, like,
go ahead.
If you can log in from Ghana,
Yes.
does that mean you could technically log in from anywhere and control the telescope remotely?
Yes, I have controlled the computer from South Africa as well. So
Hey,
remember that.
Why don't we Why don't we? So people like Anita Richards and Crystal Brogan and stuff who contributed to this,
Yeah.
we could give them a go on the telescope. You know, we could say, hey, you know,
That's a brilliant
helped build
idea.
this.
That's
Do you
brilliant.
want 10 minutes or something on it?
Could we
sure.
live stream that, do you think?
Yeah,
Yes,
get like a
we can.
webcam on it. You know.
That would be brilliant. That's brilliant, Ross. That is brilliant.
When I don't know how long you want to stream this, but when we stop this live stream or if we start a new one, I can actually already just dig through the Zoom recordings I have to show you demonstration of where I have remotely logged in. Of course, we don't have a fancy logging terminal yet. So what we use currently is just something like a Team Viewer, okay? So Teams Viewer gives you access to the full screen, and from there you are in charge. So I've used Team Viewer to run this telescope at least 3 or 4 times already. So I've also used it to fix problems when they encounter some challenges and they report to me and I fix it. I've used it to remotely train the staff of CBSS on how to use the telescope. So yeah, that is 100%.
So can I make a suggestion? No, go ahead, Ross.
In the
Sorry,
case of
finish,
Ghana,
James.
sorry. In the case of Ghana, what we actually did was in the Zoom connection, I requested one of the students to connect via his phone and take the phone upstairs and point it at the telescope. So there was a client that is actually showing you the telescope moving. So you see one of the Zoom participants, which is just that camera. You drive the antenna, it shows you the antenna is actually moving. So, but now I think it wasn't the plan of what I told CBSS to do to install a decent camera. We do now have a camera. You just have to open it up on the screen, and then you can see what is happening up there when you drive the antenna.
James, we can put if we can connect that camera to the internet, we could put it on our website.
Yes.
Like a 24-hour webcam.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so there are still a few things that need to be done. Remember, with sustainability plan, you need the cost of running a telescope. This is something that CBSS probably grossly underestimated. Keep in mind that there is internet access in Nigeria, but if you want constant, decent speed internet, it's super expensive.
We could just do what they do at Hartrail, James, where they take a photograph and they refresh every 60 seconds.
Yeah, so if you have to live stream constantly, it could become unaffordable for them.
Yes, that's.
But if you have to do the Hartrail model where every minute they refresh and it's a new photo of where the antenna is pointing, then that probably is easy. Then it's it's less cost on the bandwidth and the cost of the internet. Yeah.
Hopefully. Yeah.
So short term we can live stream. Constant long term 1 year live streaming. We will need to start thinking about budget for the internet for them.
Okay, but we could, but theoretically, we could have Anita Richards on with us, and she could be observing. So she gets to have her control panel, and we can share her screen on control panel, and she could be observing, and we could get that. Or Crystal, whoever. Anita might say no. She might say, I don't want to be involved, because she's a bit modest, obviously, and perhaps so is Crystal or Todd. Who knows? But we could certainly ask. It would be really cool, and it would be worth people watching to see this telescope in action.
No, we'll just
with
need
students.
them. We just need them on the video to show them the result of what they have contributed to.
Yeah.
I think if you ask Crystal or Anita to control or drive it first, she will panic because it's a system she hasn't driven before, right?
That's very true. Yeah.
I suspect
we can talk to them about it first, because if it's not so difficult, like we could live stream a training session of how to use it.
Yeah.
Hey, what can I make another suggestion? Not a better, another. What if we had a student, and she told the student what she wants observed? The student's in with us, so we have the student, we have our
Donors.
whoever that may be, and then ourselves, and we do it like that because the student knows how to run the telescope.
And it was built for the students.
And we get to show it, because the beauty of this is the more students.
Webcam it as well. We could also show the webcam as well, showing the dish actually moving.
We could also ask somebody at the Dunlap Institute to join us. We should also ask the Dunlap Institute to join us as well, because this is exactly what they want to show. They want to see students working on these telescopes. It helps them too, and it helps us longer term, because we could do other projects where they may be willing to assist us.
Yeah.
Awesome.
No, absolutely. Whatever we do, I mean, it takes time zones that are different. So
Well, yeah, that's
except
right.
to do it separately, then we wouldn't struggle with US and UK time zones.
Yeah, well, the thing is, if we use this time zone, it would be 8 o'clock in the morning start time for the East Coast of the US, depending on where Todd and Crystal are. They may be traveling, you know what I mean? But for them, it'd be 8 o'clock in the morning, which is not too unreasonable. Here it's 6 for me, but I get up early.
We have a lot of other donors as well from different countries.
We do, and any one of them would be welcome.
Well, we can actually. I don't know if we have the contacts of all the donors. We can actually make it open. We constrain the time. We just tell them we'll be playing a demo of the project funded like this and that, and then we put it out, right? Then whoever can
details of everyone. I've got the details of everyone who's donated. Also, I think Gordon has the details because it goes through the Stripe account. We should have it.
We should have a fairly substantial list, and some of them may not want to, of course, right? But we can certainly invite. That's the key, to invite.
Yeah. The important thing is to invite them. Let them know that there is a
Zoom. We could do a Zoom like this. Invite them. Yeah.
Yeah, they can get interactive with that.
Yeah.
Or they can also passively, since we're going to live stream it, they can also passively watch it later on after the live stream.
That's precisely right.
Biscuits for them to see where their money went.
Yeah, that's my opinion. Yeah,
I think so too, and
cool.
it really is a good payback. I know I'll be damn certain the Dunlap people would be very excited by it, because they could live stream it because it's 8 o'clock in the morning there, right? So if we started at 8 in the morning, Toronto time, they could live stream right? So it would be an interesting idea. It's a really cool idea. And it helps us because, of course, it's advertising, because they would then live stream it. And then they would tell whoever, so we'd have more people viewing the channel.
Hey, Gordon, do we have anything in the chat? I just thought of checking.
I can't see it because I got my other computer turned off, because it's making my it's causing headaches to us.
Yeah, maybe just the last picture to show how significant this is. The first effort to build a radio telescope in Nigeria was spearheaded by the first Black PhD astronomer in Africa, who is Dr. Sam Okoye, late Professor Sam Okoye, who died, I think, in 2009.
Yeah, I met him.
But
I didn't.
You met him, I guess.
No,
I'm
not sure if I did. I think I did.
Yeah, he was the student of Professor Hewish, who eventually won a Nobel Prize for
Yes.
pulsars.
Yes, Hewish, yes.
So his work is strongly related to the pulsar science. So he's Nigerian. He was a staff at the University of Nigeria, and so was Professor Pius Okeke, who you see in orange clothes here. He did make a lot of effort to bring a decent telescope in Nigeria. There was plans to build a 25-meter radio telescope many years in the past. So it was exciting. It was a bit historic to have him. Well, when we were building a 3-meter telescope, he thought to himself that it must be this small, tiny dish. But we asked him to come and see. He came and he really said, wow. And I loved the excitement from his voice, just showing that, yes, it looked little, but it was a massive, massive achievement. So this is the photo taking there during his visit to see the telescope. And the person wearing a black hat there is the director of CBSS, Bonaventure, who we've been referring to. And that's me standing next.
I knew Pius in the 90s. I met him in 1992 at Hartreo. He came and visited. He was trying to convince myself and Dirk Smith to move to Nigeria to help them set up their radio astronomy program a long time ago. To help them with the program. I shouldn't say set up, to help. But it never happened. Anyways. Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
I won't go into any political details. He's a good guy.
Okay, cool. So I'll just stop sharing screen there, and we can continue further discussions.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I really like this idea of setting up a webcam and also having people who contributed be able to participate. It's a really nice idea.
You know, guys, I want to point out something. You got to understand something. What we're doing, I mean, is there anybody else doing this kind of thing? And the answer is no. So, and I mean, literally, here we are. We're the 3 directors of, we're a pretty modest foundation. It's just the 3 of us. But the point is that what we're trying to do, this is very unique. Here we are. We've helped Nigeria build a telescope. We were a partner with them. We convinced other people like the Dunlap Institute to join in, and we've helped them install, commission, and they're operating. And now we're talking about getting our donors, giving them something back as well. And many people do this. Many organizations do this kind of thing. But in astronomy, the 3 of us are sitting on screen right now talking about this. We're all pretty public. We're very open about what we're doing, and that's very unusual. That's very. Yeah. I'm sure it's been done in other areas, but for us, this is a first in astronomy. There's no question.
Especially radio as well. It's not considered to be like the most romantic and sexy of the astronomy.
I think you're right there.
But it can be.
I know of people that put they transported. They had a telescope donated, optical, and they moved it to where the heck was it? Burkina Faso. I know the guy that was involved with that. You might have met him already too. He's a French Canadian in Calgary now, James. Great guy. He's a really nice guy. I like him as well. Him and I hit it off immediately when he came to Hartreo. But the point I'm trying to get at is
Claude Carrigan.
Yes, Claude. That's his name.
Claude Carrigan.
Yeah,
okay.
Claude's a really
him.
good dude. Yeah, he's a really nice guy. And he's really energetic. He's the right kind of guy to be involved in developing pioneer astronomy. And in the end, that's what we have to be. We have to be pioneers. So we're presenting really sort of a pioneering astronomy mindset. And basically, Ross, when you talk about rogue astronomy, which we have to give credit to Gabor. He's the guy that coined the phrase, and I just love it. I just love that. And when we talk about rogue astronomy, that's precisely what we're talking about. We're talking about pioneering. Okay, so Nigeria is a pioneering project. It really is. We have to find pioneers, and lucky for us, we have guys like Bonaventure and a bunch of his students that are all really keen and excited, and they're pioneers. That will increase the success. That will guarantee the success of Nigeria. And for all the projects we do, we must do that. But also Nobiyama or Hartreo or any of the other established telescopes, they won't survive unless we find literally rogue solutions. And I think that's important for us to understand. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna say, I've been, last time I was at Nobiyama, I don't know if I mentioned this last time in our call, but I was talking a lot with the guys there. And I don't think I can really go into much public detail now, but there are signs that the management might be considering being a bit more flexible with the idea of rogue-esque activities. So hopefully maybe in a future Zoom call I'll be able to like kind of go into more detail, but it's not, the door's not completely shut, which is good.
We got to make rogue cool. That's the key to this story. We got to take this idea and make it cool. That and I mean cool as in sexy to people, like to astronomers, that they could say, hey, this is an interesting idea. I like the idea of coming up with just a cool idea in my head, and we find a way to make it happen. And part of our job would be to do that, to find the facilities willing to accommodate, you know? And you're literally saying that, Ross. That's just so...
Yeah, I think with the case of approaching astronomers, it's like we would have to provide something that they can't get with the facilities that they already have access to.
Yes.
And I don't know what would you...
What you're doing, you stop, you don't step back from your observations and ask yourself, what else might be interesting out there? And so if we can create the ideas, we might be able to spark an interest in somebody. Do you see what I mean, Ross? Like, so, and the reason I'm saying it like that is because, like Nobiyama, I never once thought of using Nobiyama. Never. I've never given it any thought whatsoever. You know, I've never, you know, because I'm just fixated on, I get so much data. I mean, I get hundreds of hours of data from Hard Trail every month. So I've got so much data. What the hell do I care? Whatever. But if suddenly it dawned on me that there might be some millimeter transitions worth looking at, you know, it really is, you know, it would be something I would start considering if I was given the opportunity. And every time we do this kind of thing, Ross, we're presenting people with those opportunities. And now that you've mentioned Nobiyama all the time about how they want to do this and that, I now start thinking to myself, what could I do with Nobiyama? You know? Because we're astronomers. It's what we do.
One of the actual benefits of it being in a hard place right now is that if you want time, so you used to have to write a proposal. I mean, like, you know, typical astronomy routes, you make your science case, you write your proposal, you do your estimates of how much time you need, and you send that in. It gets judged.
Yeah.
Now they don't have that. Now you just buy the time. So you could say, you know, I want to use it. I think the only rule is that you can't do anything military related. It has to be astronomy related.
Yes.
Because it was a gray area, because I was like, well, I could use it to buy time to do stuff for the space industry. And then they were like, no. So there, aside from it having to be astronomy related, there is no other limitations. Okay. So if you need the time, or if you want the time, you just buy it. So you could do whatever the hell you want. So this actually gives you an opportunity to do stuff that wouldn't typically get through a TAC, a time allocation committee. So, you know, stuff that's not popular, but to you at least, you see some value in it. Yeah. You could get that through now because you wouldn't have anything to get through. It's just you pay the cash and the time is yours. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say this to you. Most observatories around the world, I mean, and I could only think of two that are not like this. Most observatories, basically, they fill the time of the telescope. They literally fill the time of the telescope. Now, Ghana, for instance, it's a question of operation cost. They literally, there's lots of problems going on politically in Ghana. So financially, I should say more than political, but financially there's lots of problems. And as a result, they don't have the abilities to maintain the operations, to run it. So if you could come up with the cash, you could help them to run their telescope, and with that, you will get some of the observing time. So that would be one way. But the average observatory, like Hard Trail, I mean, every hour is filled. And what ended up happening there back in the 90s, because I could have filled all 8,000 hours of observing. I literally could have filled all 8,700 hours of annual observing. But what happened was they would basically go and say, no, we got to do maintenance. So we would have days, like every time there was maintenance, it was always the daytime. Well, the problem is the galactic, objects rise 4 minutes earlier every day. And so your galactic center is up during the day at times, and that's the prime observing time for most star formation and people. So that would always be damned annoying to me. I'd say, well, why can't we just schedule the maintenance in the evening? When it's in the anti-center, right? Is up during the day or whatever at night. And so, but of course that didn't work out. So back to I'm off topic, but back to your point, what it would look like to me is we need to find ideas and match them with researchers. So, and then of course we have to have researchers, we have to open this up to researchers that they can come to us and say, I have an idea. And then we try to find a facility that would be willing to do it for them. Do you see what I'm getting at? So it's a two-way street. And it's an interesting service, right? It's not something that exists, correct? So we'd have to create something. And then after a while, even our service would become oversubscribed. You can imagine there's 10, 20,000 astronomers out there in the world, right? Plus students.
Hey, Claude, what about can you hear me, by the way? I just changed to...
I can hear you. It's only mine that it causes it.
I was thinking, one cool idea would be like, people who are not really astronomers, but they want to look at stuff with telescopes, right? And we could say, hey, look, we know how to use the telescope. We can do all of the actual doing it. So if you're a dude who's got $50 and you want to look at a black hole and measure something about it, and we'll have a conversation and say, what's actually feasible. If they're like, I want to look at the color of a black hole, so we can't do that. But we figure out something that people want to do. We could do it for them, and then we just take their cash and put that into Nobiama.
Yeah, no, I think that's a cool idea too, because what we could do is we could crowdsource projects, and the people that get published are the people that financed it. So they become the co-authors. Sure. So they get the data as well, so they could do as they please. And you're absolutely right. I was actually when I was thinking about the 10 or 20,000 astronomers in the world, remember, they're only the people that have signed up to IAU. For instance, I'm not an IAU member. So we don't know. There should be lots of other people, like Paul, that Paul character with Dirk, he decided to do astronomy in his 50s. Paul Feldon, Fallon, yeah. So to answer your question, I think that's a great idea. We could literally open this up to people who are amateurs and just generally interested. They just have a cool idea and they thought, well, what if I can do this? I want to look at the black hole at the center of the galaxy. Yeah. Pay us $100 and we'll say, okay, these are the experiments we could do for you that might, remember, because in the end, we don't know until, that's exactly what I'm pointing out to you, Ross. You've just given us an idea to think about, and now each of us will come up with a different way to look at it. Oh, you're talking to somebody else. Sorry, Ross.
Sorry, no, I was looking for paper. No, you gave me such a really good idea that I actually need to write it down immediately. There is a whole community of amateur astronomers doing stuff, with their hardware. If they knew that they had access to a 45-meter telescope, and professional astronomers would actually do the legwork for them, I'm sure there'll be plenty of people.
I've got a for. I want to add into that. I know of a way to make it for profit. I mean, we could literally sell that service to all the science centers around the world. Because I was talking to the guys at the local science center here in Edmonton, and I'm going to go visit them one day, and I keep threatening, but I haven't done it. I haven't talked to him for a while. Anyways, and he's a really cool guy, and he says, Gordon, I cannot figure out a way to properly present radio astronomy. I don't know how to make it look cool, to present it. Well, present it. We could literally say, we could have a service where you could literally use the telescope. So they could pay for it. They could find funding in there because they sell tickets, right? People pay to go into their science center. So we could find a way to even just use a downlink of the Nigeria telescope. If it's streaming the data that when it's being done, we could stream that. We could have a series of streams that people could just tap into, and they could pay us a fee of some kind. a monthly fee for streams, for data streams. You know? Now, I'm not talking, I'm not just talking about, I'm talking about that, like your display you had there, James, right? They don't have to get the raw data. Like if I'm a professional astronomer, I'm not going to let the data go out to the public. But if we could do something like that, where people are buying to see time, we could then do it in sort of a public way as well. So we could go around to science centers.
Work for them as well.
Yeah.
So,
if
like the preparation of the OBS files and things like that, and
yes.
the frequency setup and all that kind of jam.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we do that, that's what we do. So that's easy for us.
So what we could do
it might be like a hurdle for them, which we could, kind of walk them over.
So something we could do is we could set up feeds that we could then give to people. They could say, okay, they pay us a monthly subscription. We then feed them all the feeds. They pick and choose what they want to show, what telescopes are operating or not operating, and they just show what the telescope is looking at, what the science it's trying to do is, and we could try to build up something like that. It would take effort on our part, but it would be a really cool thing to do for science centers around. I'm not talking for Edmonton. I'm talking around the world. Could you imagine how many science centers there are, right? And so that's a really cool idea. But back to the single person who might just have an idea and say, hey, you know what? I got $200. I'd love to know what, the sun looks like, up close and whatever. Now, in radio, we could zoom to the sun and we could do a drift scan and stuff like that if we had a facility to do it. But we could do it at whatever transitions. And they could pay for that. And we could say, look, this is the service fee to do that. I'm
going to get in touch with the amateur astronomers, because actually a dude from the Amateur Astronomy Society who was not like the kingpin, but he was someone who was kind of in the higher parts of it, emailed me about M2O, and he was like, is there anything that we could do to participate? And I was like, yeah, awesome. But then I changed jobs and I lost access to the email address that I was communicating with the guy on.
Oh shit!
And I can't find him anymore. Yeah, so I think if I just reconnect with that society in general, I'm sure I'll find someone, either the same guy or equivalent person. Definitely those guys will have some ideas. Imagine being an amateur astronomer and you're working on these a few meter dishes and you're doing all your tinkering and all this stuff, and then like some people show up and say, hey, how about having a go on a 45 meter and we'll do it for you. Love that.
All of us are doing virtually the same thing, though, Ross. Think about it. I mean, I do monitoring, and if we find a flare, then we notify all those big dishes because a group of us have put in, triggering observations. So in a way, the amateurs, if there's amateur astronomers out there, they too would be doing exactly the same thing. They got something interesting, like an object they're looking at. And they say, well, is it possible to look at that in the radio? What would it look like in the radio? And they might just have, a general interest just to see it. And so this is a service we could perhaps provide people like that. And it can lead to decent science. Okay?
Yeah.
So, and that's, I think, the key to this, right? So I think if we do something, what you're talking about, I think is very doable immediately. Okay, because all it involves is buying an hour of time or 2 hours of time or finding a telescope that's available. Remember, some of the smaller telescopes have free time. They're not operating all the time. And so we could also make an effort, the three of us, to contact those observatories and see if we could come to some kind of arrangements where we try to do this. Now, the problem with all of this stuff is it starts costing us time and effort and eventually money. And so we got to find a way. We could do some really cool shit, and I'm going to swear because I think it's important to accentuate what I'm saying. We could do some really cool shit if we were able to do this on a much more permanent basis. I always say this, but it's the truth. Because to be honest with you, to do what I just mentioned to you about the science centers, we need a technician. Because what I'm doing is very amateurish, okay? What they can do is many levels above what any of us could do combined. And so we really are getting into the realm of offering a really cool and unique service, which could actually go someplace. We aren't even talking about building telescopes yet, which we'd like to do. And that's another level up James, and that's a fact. You know, to build an engineering works, we'd have to build a factory, a warehouse, a big building, and now you're talking millions of dollars. So you start scaling up your functionality and the number of people that's involved. But what you're talking about, Ross, is doable right now today.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll look into.
Sorry,
when
guys,
this
I
next,
sent a message that I have to jump
Yeah.
into another meeting just right now.
I
So,
think we can.
but it was
Should we wrap it up here then? Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, it was really
Hour and a
nice
half
to
in there.
touch upon this.
So for any
There's
any
been someone
people,
who's watching the entire time, so thank you to whoever that was.
and by the way, just so
Yeah,
you,
that's
and
cool.
something else I want to add for all of those who may watch this video, we do intend to follow up on a lot of these ideas, and in particular, we want to live stream the usage of the Nigeria 3.7 meter telescope with some of our donors, or importantly, we got to get a hold of Dunlap and some of our major donors and ensure that they come on board and do some observing with the telescope. I just think that's a great follow-on live video.
Yeah, let's definitely do that then.
Oh no, that's definitely something we should do. Thanks, guys, and thanks to those who will be viewing.
And thanks to our technician, Gordon McLeod.
And thanks, Gordon, for being the audiovisual technical expert.
Wow,
Thanks a lot,
Christ,
Gordon.
no. I'm terrible. Have to get. Anyways, I'll let you guys go. Listen, we'll do this again. Thank you all. Thanks for it, guys.
All right. Yeah.
Good night.
Thanks.
Take care, guys. Good night.
Night.
Good morning.
Okay. Let me just do something before I end this. Let me go to, where is it? Let's do this. And then let's get rid of that. And, all right. Somebody, not now. I don't want to do that. Just let me say this before we go. That was myself, James Chibueze, and Ross Burns, the three directors of the GERA Foundation, doing a live stream talking about the installation and commissioning of the 3.7 meter telescope at Nigeria. And we do hope to follow up on some of our own suggestions. It's funny, when we get together as a group, we have a wide range of discussions, some of which are interesting, some are just us bullshitting each other. But you can only do certain things. There's limits to what you can and cannot do. So we can talk about all these wonderful and amazing things, but some of them are simply out of our reach financially or technically. And that's true for any idea. That just is. But eventually, the triangle gets closed. In other words, the knowledge required to make the idea become real, closes, because all of the technologies have been created, and each technology unit needed to make an idea come true, and there's usually multiple, has a certain amount of time required to create it and a certain amount of knowledge that needs to be created for the idea to become a reality. Anyways, that's for another video. So thank you for watching. We hope to do continually, I'm rambling now, we hope to make many more of these.